time when the oceans drank Horseshoe Bay and the rise of the sons of Prevalia, there was an age undreamed of, and unto this Nateryl, destined to wear the jeweled crown of ossuary upon the troubled brow. It is I, his chronicler, who alone can tell thee of his saga. Let me tell you of the days of high adventure. Anyway, welcome to Inside Outlands podcast. I'm your host, Mindtrip. Joining me is the co-host, Nateryl. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? I feel like I get greater and greater in your intros every week.
It's fun for me. I don't know. Anyway, joining us today, our guest, Titus from Prevalia Imperium. How's it going, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Yeah, glad you can make it. I've been wanting to kind of hit a role player up. That's something we haven't done yet, and you seem like the perfect candidate.
I appreciate that. Definitely glad to be here.
Yeah. So me and Nateryl play D&D together, so that's about the only time we really role play. But I've been known to do it occasionally in game, especially when I'm bored. But
yeah, I've got some history with. I played MUDs for forever, from 96 to like 2006, and MUDs had a lot. The one I played had a lot of combat in it, but you had to fill a lot of the text-based game with role playing. But since then, I've never combined the two, like role playing and video gaming. So it's always been separate, with the tabletop role playing, and then video game time is video game out of character talk. So I'm really curious because, frankly, I'm jealous. Role players always have fun, no matter the state of the game or what's going on with the game. They always manage to drag every ounce of fun out of it because they're kind of out making their own thing, Whereas we're stuck with just what the game mechanics can offer. I am very curious.
Well, I definitely agree. I mean, this game is the greatest sandbox game that's ever been out, and if you're not going to make your own fun, what are you doing?
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. Now, I have played a shit ton of Eve. That was kind of my game for many years, and Eve is kind of they're kind of role playing as you play that game already. I think more so than most games. If you want to be a pirate, or if you want to command fleets, you have to actually go out in the game and do those things. Whereas it feels like in a game like World of Warcraft, you want to be a paladin, you just pick some skills and you're using your skills, So I'm just curious with what the Ultima Online community does and kind of where they've taken it in comparison to other games too.
Yeah, I think I could try to tackle that. First off, I started RPing way back in the day, as like many people in UO, being an orc. Bloodrock clan from back in Great Lakes, 98 or 99, somewhere around there. I've only ever really known that in this game. It's really the heart of this game.
Orcs have always seemed to have a strong presence among Ultima.
Yeah, are they here though? Because I feel like when I played Real Poor, I only played that for a couple of weeks, and that's really my only UO experience before this. Is they were everywhere, and I haven't really seen them here. I know they're here. Are they in here as much as they have been in the past, or am I crazy?
No, they're knocking around here somewhere. This particular shard is a little bit more grindy than some of the other ones we've played, so I think it's taken a lot of time for most people to get up to speed.
Yeah, and they're like the bad guys in the role playing community, right?
Well, from our standpoint,
yeah.
To them, they're just trying to live life.
So, what about your history with UO? You've been playing throughout the years.
Played OSI back around 98 till must have been 2002, 2003. Took a long break. Ended up getting back into free shards probably about 8 years ago. Hopped around. Most recently, before Outlands, played on shard, which will not be named. And then here I am.
Cool. Yeah, sounds about what I've done. All right. So, Imperium Prevalia, give us the pitch on the guild. What you guys are about?
Well, we started out coming over here with me and Brennis, my friend I've been playing with on various shard for a while. We came over here because of the the sea combat. We were originally going to be a anti-pirate guild, and after the various lore updates came out, we decided to switch gears and tackle the capital city.
Okay, are you tackling that in a role play perspective only, or are you kind of rolling that into factions, or what do you guys got planned?
We haven't quite thought about factions yet, but it's it's a possibility in the future. Right now, it's kind of just in the RP sense that we are the city. Most of our members are citizens. That's what they're labeled as. That's what they do. They just go about their life, but they are in the city. That's it.
Yeah, cool. So, what type of people are you finding joining your guild? Is it all hardcore RPers, or do you have some light RP, or what's that typical member doing in your guild?
Well, I think the cool thing is that there's no typical member right now. We're getting people who are all about the RP and nothing else in the game. We got people who have never tried before and just looking to give it a shot. We got people who just want to go about it very casually, and we're cool with all of it. We want to be really inclusive.
Yeah. So one thing I've experienced in RP communities is sometimes it's kind of hard for new people to get in. Maybe they get a little bit of flack from the senior RPers. Are you seeing those two groups mesh together well?
I can't speak for other groups, but we've tried our best to, kind of let everyone in who even just wants to try it. We're not going to get on people's cases for maybe not being as hardcore as the others would be.
Yeah. Are you catching flack from non-RPers on the server?
We always do, but the best thing to do with them is just RP right back at them.
Some of the most entertainment moments I've had in Ultima were from RPers, so I always like to stand back and see what comes,
Yeah, that's where I'm most curious. Is basically what is someone that wants to get into role play, what do they do? Because at least from a perspective of like someone like me who might be interested in doing it, like what the heck do I do? Where do I go? Do I need to make a character? As far like a background, who do I meet? Who do I go? I guess what are the steps to get into it?
Well, I think that's a lot of people have this misconception that it's a hard thing to do. It's really not. You just act as if the world itself is just the shard and nothing else.
How would I find other role players? What would they expect of me? I want to walk in there and make people mad.
I got you. If they're going to get mad for you trying out, they're probably not the guys you really want to be playing with anyway.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, I guess.
But yeah, to start out, I mean, pick a name. That's your first idea of any character creation, RP or not. But you want to pick a name that you think would represent whatever character you want to play. And pick the skills that you think your character would utilize and just go for it. Just take everything in the game as if that's it, that's reality, and just roll with it.
So I've seen other games where they have it like a couple of these MUDs. They have it where you can have no out of character interaction. They want you to come in and fully immerse yourself in the character. So you approach the game, and everything that happens in the game is you playing your character. So they try to like fully simulate it. And though, obviously, you've got a lot of coordination to do. You have to grind your character out. You have the dungeons to run. You have PvP to fight off. You have everyone not role playing. How do you merge those two worlds together?
Well, we like everyone to try their best to stay in character in a game chat situation. Of course, the UO itself has guild chat, party chat, and obviously almost everybody uses Discord. So it's easy to kind of separate the two, in character and out of character now. Wasn't always the same back in the day.
Yeah, and maybe you can shed some light on this. I think some people have a misconception that when they join an RP guild, that the voice comms are all role play. At least in my experience, it's not like that.
Definitely not. I would say I don't think I've ever RP'd in a voice chat.
Yeah, so it all happens in game, but then voice chat, it's still your same guild experience you'd have with any other guild. And it's going to be, how was dinner? Where'd you go? Let's hang out. We're playing a game. What TV show did you watch? But when you're playing the game, that's where all the role playing stuff happens.
Of course, yeah. And even if people slip up while in game, I can't speak to other groups, but we're not going to get on everyone's case for that. It happens. Uh, in the game, you're your character. Out of the game, talking to people, you're yourself.
Yeah, because at least I know people think that they assume that like I'll join Imperium Prevalia, but then I've got to keep this persona while I'm talking in voice comms or while we're in the forum or while we're in our Discord. When that's really not how it works.
No, not at all. Although that would be incredibly entertaining. That would be a lot to expect from people.
Yeah. Let's knock out some of these questions. We had a great list of community questions sent to us from Sir, and I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he sent me a long list of questions, and I think he's pretty passionate about this subject. So,
Oh, absolutely.
From the Knights Guild, correct?
Yep, we've actually. He. I'm not sure he knows my other alternate characters are, but we've definitely fought multiple times on other shards.
yeah. So we'll just go in his background just a little bit. He's got an interesting project, and I've seen. I think the orcs have something similar. I saw it on the Ultima Online Reddit, where there's a universal community of RPers across all shards in one Discord. At least he's trying to, I guess, foster one community where everyone can meet and talk, and kind of combine the all the shards together into one big community.
Yep, I'm in that Discord. It's called UORP Community. Very original name.
Yeah, I didn't know it's called that, but that makes sense. No, that's awesome. It's just this community, I think, joined together to make something more special out of it than it is.
And of course, you're running into mostly the same people on every shard. I mean, there's only so many of us still playing this 20-year-old game.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Owen and Luthien have said is they didn't know that the player base was that we have now is still out there to go get. That people had moved on to other things and had left this behind. But I think there's something special about Outlands, which I don't know. What's drawing you to Outlands?
Well, I love the fresh new concept, everything, new map. Well, mostly new map, and Trinsic's about the same, but mostly new map, new skills. It's like a fresh take on an old game.
Yeah, no, that's it. Definitely is that, and having this many players in the small map has made for some really interesting experiences already too. You can't go 10 feet without some kind of player interaction anywhere in the world, not just at a bank. I think today I was fighting off all kinds of griefing in dungeons. I dealt with all of it though. I made a lot of gold today, but I had people training mobs on me. I had people trying to PK me. It's kind of endless. All right, let's get back to his question. So he kind of started off with a pretty simple one, like what is a RPG role playing game? How does that title genre relate to the experience in game? So anyone can take that. I guess I think he's just trying to say that what we're playing is a role playing game here.
Absolutely, it's in the whole title, MMORPG. So us in the RP community look out at all these non-RPers, or as we call them, the normies, and they're I feel like they're missing half the game.
No, I think you're right, and I think over time we've lost it a little bit. I think as each new MMO comes out, people get further and further away from it. There are more. It seems like there are more role players in those first few games: Asheron's Call, EverQuest, and Ultima Online, and then before that, the Muds. But with each new game, it seems like that community is harder and harder, or smaller and smaller niche community.
Well, I think it's a product of the games. Also, they're just making them less and less open and more structured. And we have as a community thrive in an open world, completely sandbox environment.
So his next one is, this is probably one you run into a lot, is what is the difference between in character and out of character? How might someone go about differentiating between the two when playing? I know we've hit some of this, but we're just going to lay it out, I guess, in simple terms.
Sure. Just in character, you do and say what your character would do. Out of character, you're your own self. If you're not in a guild or party at the time, a lot of players will bracket their out of character talk. A lot of we'll jump to Discord to talk out of character, stuff like this. It's not that, to me, it doesn't bother me too much to see it, but to some, they get real upset.
Okay, and then I know we've covered how people can get involved. You're basically saying just get out there and do it, and you'll kind of learn as you go, right?
Of course, we only learn from failure.
So his next one is a little more interesting. Is there one way to role play? Can anyone do it?
I think the answer to the first one is no, there's not one way to do it. And the answer to the second one is, yeah, of course, anyone can if they really try.
Okay, so I'm gonna elaborate on this question. Well, what are the ways to do it?
So, one way, any way to role play, pick your character and you go out and you just do it. It's you want to be a knight, you be a knight. You want to be a wizard, you be a wizard. You want to be a drunken beggar, go grab some ale and bother people at the bank.
Yeah, who's in our guild? We got Mama Meg. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, she talks down to all of us like we're her children.
Yeah,
and that's great.
I've never had a conversation with her that she wasn't RP, and that's just what she does.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more interesting. So let's see. How do hardcore RPers view non-RPers? And how do you think non-RPers view RPers? Do RPers and non-RPers get along? And what is their relationship like? How do they coexist?
Well, I hate to make generalizations about everyone, but I see non-RPers as, like I've said, missing part of the game that makes this the game we keep coming back to, even 20 years later. They probably see us as kind of nerdy and kind of losery, but you know what? We're all still playing this wizard game from 20 years ago. So how cool are all of us?
All right, so we'll take a break from Sir's questions here just a little bit. Mindtrip, you want to take that one from Twitch?
Oh yeah, this is from Axel in Papa Carl's Twitch stream. It said, I believe the U and Undead Guild and Orc Guild communicated with one another to set up battles and RP sessions. Has the Prevalia Guild initiated contact with the other RP guilds yet?
Yes, and if you guys check the forums, I was going to bring this up at some point. We are actually planning a large RP event called Conquest. It's basically playing Risk, but in the game itself. The game board is currently being split up into territories. Each guild is going to pick a home base, and we have different rules around how to claim other territories and fight each other, start wars and diplomacy and all that fun stuff. And the goal is to try to conquer a certain percentage of the map.
That sounds like it entails PvP. Is that pretty integral to roleplay in UO then?
For some of us, I like to coin it RPVP. This game has, great PvP, so that's always something I've tried to combine with my RP at any point I could. Not to say I'm very good at it, but I enjoy it a lot.
All right, we got another question from Sir. He's on Twitch too.
He's posting questions from all angles. It said, what tools could you use to RP in a different way? Emoting is one example he's asking, and how to do it. Well,
obviously, emoting is, like he's already mentioning, that's a great tool to basically, quote unquote, perform an action that the game might not let you do otherwise. Although there are a couple of action emotes in the game, bows and salutes, which are always helpful, but really using that emote key kind of helps us out here if we want to do something more outrageous.
Since we're already on this this conquest thing, let's skip ahead of that for a little bit and stay on that. So you've broken this thing out. What are some of the rules? Maybe you don't maybe go super deep on it. I'm just curious how you're breaking thing out into areas and what the rules are to conquer.
No problem. So basically, everyone, like I was mentioning, everyone grabs a home base. Every week, we have the guilds determine which adjacent territory they want to claim. If it's unclaimed, they get it. If it's currently claimed by another guild, they either have to go to war and try to take it from them, or negotiate some other way to now own that territory. What it also involves moving around characters to different territories, and those are the characters that could actually participate in battles if they happen to occur in those territories.
Is there any rewards from taking territories, or not yet, other than the fact that you have it?
Just like most RP, the reward is all in our head.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But it really brings a whole new way to interact with the RP community outside of the game itself of just taking territories back and forth from each other. It adds to the background of the role playing on the Shard. If two larger guilds start moving towards each other on the board, things start heating up. Diplomacy, all kinds of threatening and fun conflict arise, which is at the heart of a lot of RP.
Yeah, it's going to also add a layer of story that you might have an otherwise hard time putting in there without actual conflict and resolution.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to it. Right now we have about 9 guilds that are pretty set to jump in, which is pretty awesome.
You mentioned diplomacy. Is that something you guys literally send diplomats out, or how do you do that? I'm just curious. It sounds kind of interesting.
Well, I would encourage guilds to go outside of Discord, and if they want to talk about how they're going to either work together or work against other guilds, if they would be much more fun to meet in character in the game and go over that, send envoys and everything like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Have y'all done this before? Has this happened before? And if so, how well did it go?
We did have it going on another Shard for about 4 weeks until it kind of fizzled out. It looked like it was doing well, and I won't name the Shard because we're not allowed to say that name.
Oh well, we are not.
You say what you want here.
Say whatever the hell you want here. You could say UO Forever rules. No one can stop you. No, so there's a tabletop game called Stars Without Numbers. Are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
So it's a sandbox tabletop game, but in the background is a miniature simulation happening where the factions are maneuvering, and what happens with those affects your tabletop game. So you Sunday you meet, play the game, but all through the week you have this diplomacy happening in the background. You have people maneuvering and buying things and conquering various planets, and then we meet next Sunday. Some of that stuff can come into the story of the game. So I know it's a long-winded way of saying that's why I think what you're doing is cool.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of how I envision it. Each turn is going to be a full week, and when conflict arises, the attackers and defenders have to come to a agreement on when to meet during that week to actually fight it out. But in addition to the combat, I'm hoping there's a lot of intrigue and diplomacy as well.
What makes a role player different from a regular player? Why should or shouldn't they be appreciated?
We should absolutely not be appreciated.
Okay.
No, I think I think we add a flavor to the game that even non-RPers could appreciate when we jump in there and have fun, and it usually leads to non-RPers kind of playing along and finding out maybe there's something to it.
I think it's actually rare for people to not like RPers. I think more often people either wish they could do it and they're afraid of it somehow, or they just like having that flavor in their game, even if they're not willing to go dive in themselves. I think it's pretty rare for the individual to not like it or appreciate it from afar.
I mean, I can relate. There's been situations where I kind of want to role play because it would be a really awesome, particular situation to do that. And I heard Matt Colville from the D&D community talk about a player's fears of role playing. They feel like they're going to make a fool of themselves or embarrass yourself, and I think I've kind of felt that way. And basically, what he says is, yeah, you're going to suck RPing when you first start. It's just like any skill in life. You practice it to get better, and Yeah. So I don't know if the RP community realizes that sometimes when people are poking fun at them, they're really just wishing they could do it themselves, you know?
Well, that's what the great thing about it, playing on a game like this is anonymity. Make a fool of yourself; it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. D&D, all my friends know me, so they can make fun of me throughout the week. So I think we already talked about diplomacy a little bit. Here's one. Why do you role play, and why do you think others might choose to role play? Is a good alternative on how to play the game once you've maxed out your characters, become rich, and the biggest house full of stuff you don't even need to know or know where it is? Thoughts? I think I butchered the end there, but I guess he's asking why you choose to continue to role play.
Well, I've just always found that it's by far the most entertaining part of the game. I don't really grind for any kind of special pixels or a biggest house. That stuff really means nothing to me in the end. So I just like to go out there and have fun experiences.
And I think we skipped over this one, which I'm very curious on. What are the rules of engagement? How does it work? How is it determined? And does it work realistically?
That's really a guild to guild basis. If a rule of engagement might be something that you decide on prior to starting a fight with another guild. Sometimes it's no loot. Sometimes it's loot to disarm. Rarely it's ever dry loot. It also involves, how you're going to initiate combat. Are you going to RP a bit beforehand? Or are you going to go right into it? These are all things you discuss with your enemy beforehand in a hopefully civil manner, and then go right to it.
Yeah, I think this one question here is probably the biggest cause of strife amongst role players, if I had to guess, and that's you want them to do it one way and they don't do it that way.
Of course, there's always people who think that their way is the best way, or we can't. The way you're doing isn't right. When it comes to rules of engagement, if it's agreed upon beforehand and someone doesn't follow it, it's going to happen. You just gotta brush it off or bring it up to someone on higher up who's decided the rules. When it comes to general RPing, if one RPer doesn't like the way the other one is, some people get angry. But the way I've always seen is, just if someone really doesn't like what you're doing, they're just not going to interact with you.
Yeah, shut them out. Although I guess in this game they could kill you and take your stuff.
And that's the fun part.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Does the disagreements escalate into bloodbath sometimes?
I guess if the situation allows it to, yeah.
Oh, we got another Twitch or a listener question. Driggs is asking, how does hierarchy work in the Orc Guild? I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Oh, I'm plenty familiar. I usually have an orc on every shard I've played. Yet to make one here, though. Usually there's a head honcho, a couple of officer-like orcs who are just higher up, and all the rest of them are grunts.
I think any good orc army needs plenty of grunts, right?
Need that cannon fodder.
All right, where were we at, Nate?
Yeah, role-playing seems to involve many complex and dynamic systems. Sometimes there's so many creative ideas floating around in these niche communities. Do you feel it's better to take a simple or complex approach to achieve whatever it is RPers seek in their playstyle choices?
Man, I didn't know Sir was going to give me a test here. Shit, I mean, it's all personal preference. It's some people like having a whole intricate, complex story and reason how they're RPing. Other people just like to keep it simple.
He has a lot of questions. Have you ever tried or RP in other games? How do they compare to UO in terms of communicating your character's actions and thoughts? The fact that UO is 2D instead of 3D lend itself in this bout at all? I have some answers to this one, so I'll hear yours first.
I'll say I've tried in a couple of other MMOs, but I haven't really played many very long term. The chat windows in other games seems to make it a little more difficult rather than the text above the head from UO, which I always appreciated.
Text above the head does help. What doesn't help UO, though, is if you miss that, the journal's really bad. It scrolls off too quick, and there's just not really a good way to filter it or to break out chat. So if you miss someone talking, you lose that interaction. which is kind of frustrating.
Of course, but you could always RP that you got hard of hearing and you need to ask them to say it again.
That's a total RPer answer. I love it. I think as we progressed, so we had MUDs, all text. A lot of that's in your head already. It was a very easy leap to have to role play. And UO being in 2D, I think, is a big part of it. You can definitely see a lot of the world. The pixel art is really good, but it's not as fully immersive as a full 3D game, even like a first person 3D game like Mortal or Darkfall, or it's even more immersive. So I think it's easier to role play like that. But then I had a point earlier where I mentioned with Eve, and that's just sandboxes themselves, I think, are the best role playing hubs, because what you to achieve things in that game, you have to actually go out and do that role. You can't just go out and do dungeons endlessly. It's to actually go do those things, you're in that role. If you want to be a market tycoon and you're out putting trade hubs everywhere and making trade deals. You are that thing. If you're a blacksmith, you're hawking your wares and finding deals, and it just seems much less gamey in a sandbox, I think.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that there's no set classes in UO. It's you just pick the skills you want. If you want to be a chef that does mining on the side and poisons people when they're not looking, you could do that.
From Skate Nomad, what is your most memorable moments in RP history? I'm guessing he's referring to Titus.
Let me think about that for a sec. That's a hard question. It's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah, that's so you've really been role playing since the inception of UO, huh?
Yeah, I gotta say, I still go back to joining Bloodrock for clan from the original. Those first couple months of anytime I spoke in English, I would get smacked around or take laps around the fort. If I was caught wearing anything I wasn't supposed to wear, that's it. They'd probably just kill me right there. It was great to get that first plunge into the fire of RPing.
And Stampy asked, has the orc language evolved at all over the years?
Well, it's interesting. Each clan kind of has their own language. So it's kind of like if you're wandering around different countries, everyone's got their own language, which is interesting. One coming from one clan to try to jump to another, you got to relearn different phrases and words that they just look at you like you're crazy if you start throwing them around.
Okay, so another sort of question. If you could change anything about today's modern RP communities, what would it be? I think the gist is where can this RP community go that would benefit players?
Well, first thing I would change is there's a lot of people who have this mindset, you got to RP my way. I think people got to take a step back and relax and just enjoy the fun of the game. RP the way you want to, let other people RP the way they want to. If it's something you're not liking, you don't have to hang out with them, but don't be on top of other people. I think that really hurts the community when you start, for lack of a better word, shitting on other people's RP.
Yeah. Try to be open-minded and accepting, right?
Absolutely.
And then his last one, I'll just paraphrase it here. How important is the story and lore of the game you're playing? I guess to make it Outlands related, how important is the lore they're creating here important to you and your role play here?
Oh well, we love the lore that they came up with. It's kind of ties into Ultima lore, but it's also got its own fresh take on it. We ran with it, with Prevalia being in the lore being the former empire across the Abaddon, where we're just like, hey, that sounds a whole lot like ancient Rome. Let's just steal that, and we kind of themed our whole guild around a mix between if Prevalia was Rome.
Yeah, I remember we were interviewing Owen, and or maybe there's us, or maybe it was something I heard him say, but you guys are asking for bathhouses and stuff like that, and he was thinking all that's in Cambria. Why don't you guys pick Cambria? I don't think he realized that You probably had a lot of investment already in Prevalia.
It's not even that; it's part of the lore. Prevalia was the prior empire. That's really what drew us, not so much the city itself.
Yeah. Well, it is the biggest city in the game too. And that's where the king and queen are as well, right?
Emperor, and empress.
Okay, there you go. I think that's all of his questions. We have another one from Discord from Butch. What are some common themes you come across while role playing in UO? Master Apprentice, romance, roundtable discussions, etc. More like, what does a typical RP event consist of?
I don't think there is a typical RP event. I think everyone comes up with their own kind of flavor to everything. Taking all these questions from Sir, they've got that great event that they were running on UO Forever for quite a while. They're jousting tournaments. I know there's a lot of non-RPers who partake, but at heart, that's an RP event. We do everything from a tavern night where we all go and drink and make fools of ourselves to Legion training where we try to stay in character, but also try to train our PvPers.
Yeah, that's probably what I need to attend. Next time you do one of those, see if you can ping me in Discord. I need to know how to PvP, and that might be a good way to do it.
Always welcome to join the Legion.
I've got a question I just thought about. So going back to the most memorable moments, everybody knows the story of Richard Garriott RPing as Lord British, and they forgot to turn on the invulnerability flag, and he was killed.
Burned to death, I think.
Yeah, so he was killed and kind of ruined the moment. But in some ways, it was the most memorable RP moment of all time. And I was listening to another podcast. They were talking about a wedding that was being really well RP'd, and it was inside a tower, and PKs roll in and just start killing everybody in the wedding party. And do you find your RP ruined by non-RPers quite often?
It happens every once in a while. I'll tell you, on a lot of shards, I used to run casinos, which I think most recent one was on Relpor 2. And one day we had a pretty packed house, and a couple of PKers ran in with a bunch of purple pots, like hundreds of them, spammed them, killed everybody in there. I was laughing about it, but I think some people were a little upset when everyone was looting everyone's poker chips.
Yeah. I just wondered because I can imagine so many scenarios like going the total opposite direction you guys had intended, which you might be able to role play your way out of some of those situations.
Hey, you just got to improvise and adapt, right?
Yeah. All right. We had another one from Twitch. Oh, this is from Sir again. Question. Sears were sort of an RPGM on the live servers ages ago that used to do a lot with the community. How do you feel about the staff involvement with RPers today?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that Owen and Luthis kind of had RPers in mind when they created the map. There's a lot of stuff in there that's seemingly just there for us. We love it if they want to get more involved. The community would be more than happy to welcome them in.
Yeah, the new system coming in, they implemented. It sounds like they're kind of gearing up to do more of those RP events. Maybe not heavy RP, but at least some.
There is a liaison that's on staff that is supposed to interact with the RP community. His name is escaping me at the moment, but
Lens.
Yes, yeah. And I heard he does a lot behind the scenes we're not aware of, but I guess he's the liaison reaching out and contacting these groups of RPers.
Well, the love and care Owen put into the map, he was trying to create a world and a space that has a story to tell and history and is exciting to look at and play in. And it's not only fun for people like us that just go out and play the game, but it's got to be great for the role playing community. It's just every single thing, the dungeons, the spots in the overland, the interesting ways the world connects to each other, all the cities, like all of it's interesting.
No, yeah, it's a real beautiful map. It puts the classic map to shame.
So we had another question from Discord, Driggs. So you're kind of a player-run city in Outland. You're taking Prevalia, but he remembers Rivendell from Atlantic back when it was Shard launched. Is there anything else like that here? More player-run cities.
I haven't heard anything official yet, but I'm sure Sir could comment on this. I did hear that the knights were pooling together some small houses to build a village somewhere.
I think it's a little early. I bet we'll hear more and more about stuff like that.
Yeah, so is he talking about a bunch of houses like where they built the city? No, there is that trade hub they're trying to build. That might be something kind of like this. Although I guess that's more for market and trading than it is role play. But
I do remember Rivendell. That was I remember when the GMs decided to actually decorate it. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And then we had another question from Insane or Not. I think I got that right. Is there a line between RPVP and straight up trolling?
I would assume there's a very large line. RPVP is just the same as PvP, but with our peers, trolling has malicious intent behind it.
Yeah, my past experience with games, it was always RPVP, and all we did was give a story and a reason behind why we were killing people. And that's maybe not be good enough here. That might be too big of a line, but I guess it was something. We weren't just out murdering people for any reason at all. How would you role play training mobs on someone, Titus?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would do that. That's such a douche thing to do. And it's been done to me so many times on this shard already.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the new players come in and they're training all over everyone. I had no idea.
I did it today on accident even, but I doubled back and helped kill them all. So and healed the guy that I trained stuff on him, But I don't have hiding. It's easier to do with hiding. So we had a couple of interesting community events happen lately. There was Night of Thanksgiving with Hig. Now, I don't know if Hig's a prominent role player or if he was just being amusing, but did you attend that?
I did not. I missed that. How was it?
I didn't go, but from what I've heard, it was pretty interesting. It'd be just kind of people went around and said what they're thankful for, and I'm sure Hig was probably amusing. It sounded like Expo talking about it made it sound pretty fun.
Yeah, everything coming from Hig, it's kind of the self glorification. But he's doing it in a way that is kind of nice for the community. So it's interesting what he does.
Yeah, for sure. The other one that I've seen is Way of the Wizard with Domnu. You want to tell us about that?
Sure, I could tell you a little bit. Domnu is one of the members in our guild, one of his alts, but he's taken it upon himself to basically write up a whole kind of RP story behind a group of non-centralized magic users, and it's kind of cool. I've never been a huge wizard RPer, but for players who like to go that route, I think it's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, and they're supposed to wear a wizard hat of a certain color to kind of show you they're in the way of the wizard.
Blue hat, I believe.
Yeah, so if you see someone in a blue hat, you could ask them about the way of the wizard and how to follow it. Which I started my wizard yesterday, and I tell you what, it's not easy learning how to use the magic in this game. I got there eventually once it got up past 50 though. Do we have any future RP events that we kind of tell the community about that they can try to hop in, either go see or participate in?
I gotta say, the big one is what we've already discussed a bit, Conquest, and I'd suggest everyone leave their hang-ups aside and join a group and get right to it, because it's going to be a hell of a time.
Yeah, who did they contact to jump in that? Is it you? Is there Discord they need to get in, or?
We do have a Discord, but that's just for a couple delegates from every guild. So basically, you just contact a RP guild that's participating if you want to get involved. Join one of them, and there be. And we're getting We got 9 right now. I think nine guilds, and we're hoping to have a few more by the time we launch this. And the rules allow it to people to jump in at any point.
Leading right in that question, as far as which guilds to join, we have your guild. What are some other guilds that you would suggest people that are interested in getting involved with this seek out?
Well, there's the Exile Company, which is a guild that's RPing a Cambrian mercenary guild. There's the Orc clans, Boulder Fist and Blood Clan. There's Clan Ulfhednar, which is like a Viking-themed guild. There is a dwarf guild. Can't really pronounce the name. And there's also, and last, there's a Legends of Trinzic guild that I think is a bunch of guys from Trinzic coming over.
How do you role play a dwarf here? Right? How do you? Because we're all humans, right?
Well, I think the orcs would disagree.
Well, right. Well, they've given them masks and stuff, but how do you make yourself shorter?
Well, if you carry around a chair, sit down on the chair, and then pull the chair out from under you, you're about half the height.
Okay.
I actually used to do that for a goblin guild that I ran.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That is kind of a big deal. There's a lot of games nowadays where you can't sit down at tables or benches, and there's a lot of good RP that can happen that way.
I swear, I know it's all psychological, but sitting down in this game really, really makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it's odd when games leave that out. You know, they're not really thinking about the outside effects that small things like that can bring in the community. I think that's it for our questions. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything we missed or?
Let me see our notes here. Let me see if I missed anything.
I think Sir made sure we grilled you. Got every ounce of the roleplay talk out of you.
I will mention we do have so as I said before, in our guild, most players are just citizens, and they go about their whatever they want to do. You could also have Legion members, which are PvPers, but for those players that want to have more of a unique role-playing title and pathway, pathway is what it is. We created RP Pathways, which is a tiered ranking system based on different tasks you have to do. And it's not something that's required by any of our members, but something that's offered to kind of add to people's role-playing. Right now we have 4 of those paths. So right now our paths are you could take a path to become a ranger, a path to become a philosopher, a path to become an entrepreneur, and a priest. And we're working on a few more, and it just kind of adds to their role playing. We're not going to tell someone who wants to be a ranger that they're not a ranger, but doing the tasks and stuff that we have laid out, it kind of adds to their story and kind of adds to the fun of becoming that ranger rather than just saying it.
No, I like it. I've definitely seen that before too. I know if I was to dive into this, it would help me. And anything you do to kind of provide a little bit of structure to it. That's kind of what D&D does. Is it gives you kind of a guideline to progress with. You're not just tossed out there to go be your character immediately, and it gives you something to work for.
Of course, yeah. Some people prefer the structure. Some people like to go all open-ended on it, but we just thought it was a nice idea to give people the option. And if either you guys want to roll alts and join the RPers, I don't think anyone's going to get your secret out there.
Well, I think if I did that, it would be hard not to talk about it on here. So they would know eventually. Depending on how well it went, I guess. It either make for a good story or a bad one. Either way, it'd be good for the show.
I think a RP themed podcast would be pretty awesome.
Well, with all the questions Sir did, you might have a candidate there for a co-host.
I think Sir could do it solo, and it would be great.
Let's cover some news. We had a lot happen this week, and Titus, if you want to add any input to any of this, feel free. That just be me and Mindtrip. There was a debrief They put out a State of the Shard, and of course, Luthier's endless patches. I don't know what you want to tackle first, Mindtrip.
Well, I actually caught the debrief. I believe you did as well. I think something that I really took away from it was Owen is still excited about this project, and we haven't broken him yet. he came across as really excited the way the shard's going, and where we're going with the shard, and there's a lot of cool stuff happening. I'm actually gonna let Nateryl tackle the changes with Warrior because he was so excited about these. You want to talk about that and Bard a little bit?
Yeah. So they kind of put that in the State of the Shard, but they also put it in the latest patch notes. They're balancing still. It sounds like they've been bringing the Summoner in line, which is a whole nother thing in the community. People are pissed. People are happy. But the other thing they did is they kind of made, at least my build, the parry full tank Dexter way more important in PvE because now we can taunt. And you can see, you watch Papa Carl's stream from last night. They're using the taunt to draw the boss away from people, to do various mechanics like that. So not just tank and heal, but mechanically maneuver the boss around. It's going to really change up how we PvE in this server. And there's a lot of interesting PvP, a lot of hard PvE in the server. So it's going to be it's definitely a nice tool in our toolbox. But not only that, but they buffed all the bards with 3 new songs you can play that have various buffs and like big group buffs. A lot of MMOs do this, but it's kind of neat to still get custom content like this big 1 month in. They're not holding anything back.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool to see tanks and bards more needed in a group. So, if nothing else, this is just only going to encourage grouping even more, and for people to step outside of those, builds that everyone's picking, or a lot of people are picking. They might want to try something else now.
Yeah, and you watched that stream last night. I'm saying that again, but you saw PvPers and guilds that the day before were outright killing us were actually helping us kill the boss because they want the loot, they want to see it happen, they want to check out that content. Now, granted, when the boss is dead, it's a madhouse trying to get to that loot, and then everyone's trying to kill everyone after it. But it is providing some interesting content. But you're right, making these players feel needed in groups, and there's just so much out there that needs a lot of players to go do. It's not just this stuff; it's the shrine corruptions, and so very cool stuff. This is more interesting to talk about than when they just nerf things, which is what happened to the Summoner 3 times now.
Yeah,
I would rather see things brought up to a level than see things get knocked down. That's always more fun to talk about, and doesn't make players mad. But I'm sure they have the reasons to try to bring the Summoner in line, which is what I just rolled. Like I just got nerfed, I guess, way down. And that's what I just chose to play over Tamer. So maybe I'm crazy. It's probably not that bad, but I don't have an in-game Tamer or Summoner to go actually test it out. So
I thought it was strange to see so much new content coming or already here, and I was thinking they were really going to spend, a couple months just crushing bugs and stuff like that. I don't know if they had all this stuff ready and they're just like, getting ready to roll it out, or if Lucy is just coding like a madman, all the time with new content. But it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to see how much in 1 month we're already, talking about.
Well, the debrief and the State of the Shard talked about the new dungeon too. So brand new 3-level dungeon with more bosses and more mini bosses.
That was the ice theme.
Yeah, ice themed. I guess he's having a hard time making it look interesting. We should have that before Christmas, it sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds like Owen created a dungeon. Luthia said it looked boring, and he went back in and did some work on it. And I guess we'll see. But I've always loved the ice dungeons. I get PK'd in them too much probably, but the little time I get in there to PvE is kind of nice.
Yeah, it is impressive what they're doing. Maybe they actually used their beta time. They launched everything they wanted to, and it was all in a relatively good state. There wasn't a lot left on the table that they promised. I think the only thing they were missing that they talked about then was horse breeding. That's the only item I can even think of. Maybe the arena tournament system, which just got patched in. Oh,
Fish
Papa
tanks.
Carl is reminding us about fish tanks. Yeah.
Yeah, fish tanks are coming.
Where are his fish tanks, Owen Luthieus? Get on that.
Yeah, Luffy's been talking about fish tanks. It's in the works.
Yeah, and as far as the only thing that got put in very, very last minute was the plant system, but it did get put in right before launch, like a couple days before launch, and it's in the live version too. Maybe that's why we're getting new content. I mean, and I know they had the server issues that they had to tackle, but even that got handled pretty quick. It was like 4 or 5 days, and they had it fixed.
Oh, so faction warfare, we were a way larger community than they expected to turn out for faction warfare when it was designed originally. So all those small maps are kind of been shit canned, and they, I think they're really listening to what the players want, and I think a lot of people have fond memories of faction warfare in some of the big towns like Britain, and it's kind of going back that way. We'll start seeing faction warfare in towns and larger maps only, and it's probably a good thing. There were so many people in there who were really bottlenecking in a few places.
I just have to say, I mean, I don't like pointless PvP, and that's kind of what a lot of PvP is in UO. As fun as it is, that there's not you're not conquering something, you're not getting territory for yourself or your guild, you're not protecting your home, you're just out killing people for what reason? Because so to me, factions give you a little bit of structure and meaning and goals. That's why I'm interested in it. So it will be cool to see this thing get put back out there. And he had to build because he only had like 2 or 3 of the big maps, and they got that up to 8 to put kind of an around robin thing. And I didn't realize too that a lot of the faction community doesn't like people to opt in like we can now, where we can only participate in faction struggles. It's the only time they can kill you is in a faction struggle. They don't like that tag.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, unique to the Shard. And in the past, if you opt in the faction warfare, then you're kind of always in. You can always be killed in a city, or in a dungeon, whatever. Whereas this mechanic we can do now is we're only going to participate in that PvP when we actually go to struggle. Which I get what they're saying, but this tag lets guilds like Beard Brothers participate, and other guilds like us that are much more PvE oriented. It's why you can have those large numbers in those struggles. If Owen and Luthieus are to eventually later down remove that tag, you'll find guilds like that drop out, and probably that participation drop down too. So it's not a win-win either way, I don't think.
Yeah. As far as guilds like Beard Brothers, I was really excited to see that we can get some perks, perk points by participating in faction warfare. Even if you lose, you get a couple. And, it's a nice incentive, helping the guild, helping the community, having some fun together. Maybe even getting those PvE players to try something they're not normally willing to do. But, if they could alt in, one night a week or whatever the case may be, maybe they would get better at PvP and, enjoy it more often.
Yeah, I get where they're saying too, but I understand the viewpoint. Whereas if we're not all in, then why do we get the rewards? If we're only doing the struggles, and we're not dealing with PvP and then the cities, or you're just really invested in your faction, and you see your you see a chaos guy, but you can only kill him in a struggle. You can't kill him in your city.
Yeah, there's a strong argument either way. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Oh, armor durability.
That's huge.
You don't have to walk around with a broken chest plate all the time. You'll see that evened out throughout the set pieces. So maybe your gloves will break or your gorget instead of your chest or legs, which were taking some pretty heavy damage.
Before is your chest and legs busted, and nothing was gone from anything else. So I have bags full of all the pieces with broken chest and legs, and now the way it works, nothing breaks ever. It seems like. I was out grinding on my alacrity. I'm saying that word all wrong. It's a weird word. That scroll we got today for 6 hours. I think I did 5 of the 6 hours, and I lost like 10% of my durability. So yeah, I think they not only tweaked how it goes across your armor, but they made it way less, maybe too much. The blacksmiths can't be happy. We're not out buying replacement gear all the time.
Oh, boss rares. They're adding in quite a few boss rares. A little more incentive to bring those bosses down. Beard Brothers took one down very recently, and man, it's some nice guild perk points. I think they got 10 points out of it.
Yeah, there's rares on mini bosses too, or a whole different list for mini bosses and bosses.
Yeah, some good stuff out there. Some of the bosses are easier than others. Some are too easy, and Owen will probably Lucius will get that straightened out eventually.
I think it's really cool. The shard has multiple ways to get cool looking pixel stuff, and it's not all through a cash shop. There's the societies, achievements, boss and mini boss rares, the plant system. There's a lot of stuff where they're not just asking you to go to cash shop and donate for the next chunk of stuff that's on the server. There's a lot of in-game stuff you can work towards.
Yeah, so Spirit Speak, it was nerfed again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it was unnerfed and it got a little bit back what it had lost, correct?
No, I think it was just nerfed and then nerfed and then nerfed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I must have read
that wrong.
It's gotten worse each time.
So, Titus, I want to thank you for coming on the show, letting us know a little bit about your community and what you guys do.
Thanks a lot for having me. I had a good time.
Yeah, man. Hope to see you in game, and maybe we'll see a few more people from here try some RP.
Yeah, Titus, I really appreciate you coming on and take some time to talk to us about this. It's definitely something I'm curious about, and hopefully we help convince some people to try it out.
Hope so.
So you can go to our website, InsideOutlands.com, and join our Discord to listen live, or tune in every Thursday at 7 p.m. PST at twitch.tv/Papa_Carl to watch and listen live. We'll do our best to incorporate your live feedback into each show. If you want to listen to our other podcast, The Sandbox, it's at the sandboxpodcast.com. And we haven't talked for sure who's going to be on the show next week, but we will post in announcements when we get that info. And see you guys next time.
Yeah. See y'all next week. If you got any who wants to hop on the show and get a time slot with us next couple weeks, hit us up. Thanks.
All right. Later.
Peace.